Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our Inside the Threat webinar today, where we'll talk about all things regarding AI and deepfakes. The first part of the webcast will be presented by myself, Ben Jacob. I'm a technical lead in our adversary group, where we focus on offensive security testing. And I will be joined in the second part of the webinar by Rafe Pilling, Director of Threat Intelligence in Secureworks Counter-Threat Unit. Okay, quick notice here. The webinar today will be recorded, so feel free to share it with your network after the live session. We will try to keep this as entertaining as possible to keep you on your toes, and there will be various ways to interact throughout the presentation. If you're having any audio or sound issues, please hit up the help widget, and someone will help you to fix these issues. So I will start my webcam now and give you a quick overview of the agenda.
In the last couple of years, utilization of deepfakes has become a lot more popular due to several factors, such as the advancements in deep learning techniques and the increasing computational power. So it is the perfect time to get a good understanding of what a deepfake is. But we will go much further than that. We will create several deepfake videos of a victim by using audio and video samples found on the internet. We will then dive into a recent story where a successful deepfake attack led to a $25 million scam and explain how the scammers were able to perform such attack. Lastly, we will review some safeguarding strategies to better protect your company from the deepfake threat. I hope that by the end of this talk, you will be able to recognize a deepfake and potentially be able to recognize that this video is actually a deepfake.
Okay, so yeah, I thought the best way to get started was to jump right in and showcase what a deepfake video looks like. So now I just want to get a little bit of feedback from the audience using the emojis button at the bottom of the screen. Please send a thumbs up if you knew this was a deepfake, a thumbs down if you didn't spot anything, and let's say a surprise face if you spotted something unusual but were not 100% sure. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. Yeah, some people recognize it was a deepfake, others did not, but the vast majority had some doubt. Thumbs down, yeah, mostly thumbs down and surprise face. Yeah, so didn't know. Okay, very good to hear. Hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will be able to recognize if it was a deepfake. So I've mentioned it a few times already, but when speaking about deepfake, what do we actually mean? Well, a deepfake is what we call a synthetic media that has been created using a form of artificial intelligence called deep learning, with the primary goal to create a fake event. Hence the name deepfake, fake event created via deep learning. So creating fake media content is nothing new. In the past, it was possible to create fake media content using a large sample of video and audio and kind of merge various clips together to create a chain of events. The big change with deepfake is now only short media samples are required. For example, a deepfake can be created with just a picture of a victim and a 30 seconds voice sample. We will do just that in the next few slides, so hang around. But before we dive into that, I wanted to give a little overview of the technology that is used to create deepfake. It was actually born over a decade ago. It's nothing new, and it's called Generative Adversarial Network. It is a class of artificial algorithm that consists in two neural networks, a generator and a discriminator. The generator's job is to create fake content, while the discriminator's job is to attempt to distinguish real or fake data. So basically, those two networks are competing against each other. The generator creates fake content. The discriminator tries to identify real from fake. They do multiple passes up until the discriminator cannot detect the fake data or the fake video. So using this technology, the first few viral deepfake videos were actually some pranks. It was mostly used in the adult entertainment industry, where there was video of adult entertainment in the industry, and they were swapped with the head of celebrity. It's actually estimated that 95% of deepfake videos are for adult entertainment content. But in 2018, 2019, there were actually some deepfake created about political figures such as Barack Obama and Donald Trump. And around the same time, that's where we started seeing CEO impersonations using deepfake in 2019. That was the first recorded, where a voice clone from a CEO of a UK-based energy company was used to facilitate a fund transfer of $250,000. Since then, there has been other sporadic deepfake scams against organizations, but one that really brought back the entire subject to the surface was early on this year in 2024, when a clerk was tricked into making a $25 million transfer after attending a deepfake group meeting. And we dive into this story at the end of the first part. So in the next few slides, we'll review together the different techniques to create deepfake. But I just wanted to spend a minute explaining what tools were used in this presentation. So I focus my research efforts on two areas. The first one, GitHub repositories, hosting free content that could be executed on a laptop with a decent graphic card. And the second was paid platform, where deepfake content could be generated quickly without computing power, but obviously requiring a small payment, generally a few dollars, so quite small. I have to caveat here that the website that I used to create deepfake content, some of them were run by scammers, and they tried to take multiple payments for my credit card. Therefore, it's very important that for anyone wanting to experience with this, to use disposable credit card with limited funds to avoid being scammed. I'm also aware that there must be other tools that exist. I'm sure there are some on the darknet. I'm sure there are some that I've discovered that need subscriptions worth thousands of dollars. I did not use any of those tools. I focus on tools available to the general public, which I believe are the same tools actively used by scammers out in the wild. Okay, so starting with the voice cloning attack. You might be surprised to learn that nowadays, only a 30-second audio sample is required to clone a victim's voice. So how is that possible? Well, it's because the deep learning datasets have the ability to quickly recognize various accents, allowing them to replicate voice automatically and with a pretty good precision. So over the next few slides, I'll be using my own self to create deepfake. However, I really wanted to replicate the same environment used by scammers. Therefore, to avoid giving me an unfair advantage, all the deepfakes that were created are using online content that I've posted over the last few years. So that can be podcasts that are online, webinar, or YouTube videos. For the voice cloning attack, I used a sample from a podcast I participated in, and I extracted about a 3-minute audio sample. And here is the result of the voice cloning attack.
Hello, my name is Ben Jacob. This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
So having heard my voice for the last 10 minutes or so, and the clone voice now, what clues or signs are present that will indicate that this may be a clone voice or not my real voice? So I will invite you to participate. There is a Q&A box on the screen, and I will replay this voice a second time to allow you to potentially find some cues.
Hello, my name is Ben Jacob. This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
Okay, I will leave it another 5 to 10 seconds to see if anyone wants to participate in the Q&A box. What kind of cues can be heard through this sample that will indicate that this voice is cloned? Well, it's pretty hard actually to figure out if it's a clone voiced or not. But some of the cues, oh, I can see them coming up. There's a little bit of delay. Oh, yeah, quite a few. My apologies. Here we go. The cadence of the voice sounds different. The speed is slightly fast. The accent is less heavy. Very good. Pauses are not natural. I'm just reading a first few here, but you can see they are pretty much matching what I was saying here. So again, I've been speaking to you for the past 10 minutes, so you had a good idea of what my voice was. But if it was someone you knew vaguely, it might be harder to determine whether or not that was a clone voice. Okay, the second one is face swapping. As the title suggests, we are using a video and swapping the face found on that video with the face of the victim. So here is a video free of copyright that I discovered, and I'm swapping my face with my LinkedIn profile picture. So I will show first the video of the actor. And after the face swapping effect. So again, if you could participate in the Q&A, what sign can you see compared on these two videos that would indicate that the bottom one is a deepfake? I will play them once again, just so you can have a good look. I'll give you 5 to 10 seconds to participate. There's a little bit of delay, so I don't want to miss the messages. Yeah, the stare looks a little bit dead. I agree with this. Expressions, a bit of a delay, lack of emotion. Yeah, some very good points here. The lighting, yeah, a bit of the lighting as well. One of them that I've noted, obviously, the first person is ginger or blonde. And having a darker beard is a bit of a mismatch. But yeah, there's also, it's a little bit jerky. The video is a little bit choppy. That's true. The second video is a little bit more choppy when the face is swapped. So yeah, that can be some sign that something is going on. But again, if you've never seen it before, you might just think, oh, well, it's maybe a bad broadband or something like that. But there's some little cues to be careful or to look for when the face swapping deepfakes are created. Okay, now we move to lip syncing. Lip syncing requires a video of a victim. So I pulled a video from myself that's available on YouTube, and I added the audio sample created during the voice cloning attack. And what will happen basically is the mouth will move according to the audio sample. So again, I'm going to do a demo here, and you can participate in the Q&A.
Hello, my name is Ben Jacob. This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
I will do it a second time to see if anyone wants to.
Hello, my name is Ben Jacob.
Comment.
This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
So for this type of attack, actually the source video is really important because I took a clip here of 10 seconds where I was moving my hands quite a bit, and it can be sometimes a little bit hard to to make sense compared to the audio that's being said. Yeah, so yeah, the lip syncing, some people have spotted it already. The movements are a little bit odd. The mouth is a little bit blurry, and there's sometimes even a little bit of a lag. So it's probably one of the deepfakes at the lowest quality, or at least on the tools that I used that was found on GitHub. But it's definitely something that's possible. It's really dependent on the source and the quality of the original video compared to the audio that's being matched. Okay, now speaking photo. This time, that's probably the one that's requires the less effort. You just need a picture of the victim. So this time, I took a picture of the YouTube video you just saw, and you input the audio, and that will pretty much overlay more or less a new mouth onto the screen, onto the victim. So here is the output of the speaking photo.
Hello, my name is Ben Jacob. This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
So again, if anyone wants
Hello, my name is Ben
to
Jacob.
participate,
This audio has been generated automatically using a 3-minute audio sample to demonstrate a voice cloning attack.
yeah. So if anyone has see any cues here, what can tell that this specific video is a speaking photo? Headphones, no body motions, exactly. That's probably the biggest tell sign. There is, I will stop the sound. But obviously, because it comes from a single photo, there's very limited head movements, right? Somehow the eyes are still blinking, but very limited head movement. And actually, on this video, you can see that the mouth rendering is higher resolution than the actual video that was a lower resolution. Obviously, I could have used a different photo, but I just thought I would use this one to show you the difference of what's possible. The last type of deepfake techniques is the one that I use actually at the beginning of this presentation, and it's called an avatar. I will let my avatar present themselves. Let's go.
This video is using one of the most advanced technology in the deepfake world. This time, a 2-minute sample video is required to create an avatar of a victim. Ideally, the video sample needs the victim to show different angles of their face and move their arms. Using the avatar deepfake technique, we can incorporate full body movements, including moving lips, head, and even arms.
So that's one of the deepfake techniques that's probably the hardest to spot, the highest quality. But I was just wondering if you had any ideas about how to spot that this video is in fact a deepfake. I will play it one more time while I wait that you post in the Q&A section.
This video is using one of the most advanced technology in the deepfake world. This time, a 2-minute sample video is required to create an avatar of a victim. Ideally, the video sample needs the victim to show different angles of their face and move their arms. Using the avatar deepfake technique, we can incorporate full body movements, including moving lips, head, and even arms.
Yeah, so I'm getting some comments here that not fluent head movements. I kind of agree with it. Also a little bit of a lag in the mouth movements. Again, if the person just said that they had a bad broadband, the lag could be explained, but clearly there's a little bit of delay for sure. Very little blinking. I agree with all of that.
This video is using
some of them, yeah, that I've noted is unnatural movement, lack of emotions, and sudden jerking movement. You will see that if I replay it one more time, sometimes the avatar can like jerk a little bit left and right, which is a little bit funny to see. But yeah, I agree with one of the comments. It looks pretty real. I mean, if I saw that video, it's quite hard to notice, to be honest. And for this kind of avatar, actually, it's required to have several minutes of video sample where the subject actually show their face left and right, and also show their hands. So all that sample is required to create this quality of avatar. Okay, moving on. Now let's deep dive into a recent case where a clerk was lured into making a $25 billion payment due to a deepfake attack. So I've collated reports from various different sources to understand what had happened. The scammers initially launched a phishing campaign against a clerk based in Hong Kong from a large global company. The phishing email impersonated a UK-based CFO from the same company and was requesting a secret transaction to be performed. So the clerk was suspicious of that email, of the phishing email, and he did not act on the request. However, later on that week, the clerk received a WhatsApp meeting invite. So they decided to join the meeting, and in the meeting, they recognized that the people they looked at looked and sounded just like their colleagues. One of them, which was a UK-based CFO, asked for their victim to introduce themselves, and then asked why was a transaction that they requested earlier on that week not performed. They needed it urgently. And after that, the call ended. So having received the instruction and assuming that the people on the call were real, the clerk performed a 25 million payout to 15 different banks in Hong Kong. It's just a few hours later that the clerk grew suspicious, and they reached out to their finance department, and they identified that it had been a scam. So what was the sign to spot here? Well, there was quite a few of them that were missed, unfortunately, but obviously there was a suspicious message of the email that was received. Then it was personal communication via WhatsApp. I mean, it's a little bit odd to use WhatsApp for corporate meetings. Finally, thirdly, on the video, the subject did not move their head much, limited head movement, and there was no live interaction. It was apparently some pre-recorded videos. The call ended abruptly, and then 15 transfers were required. So having seen now 4 different techniques to create deepfake: face swapping, lip syncing, speaking photo, and avatar, what kind of technique do you think was used in this specific attack to create a deepfake of the victims? I'll remind you: face swapping, lip syncing, speaking photo, or avatar. I'll give you another 5 to 10 seconds to participate. Okay, I've got 1 avatar, 2 avatar, just avatars. Okay, well, unfortunately not. The big tail sign here that I've written on the screen is limited head movement. And what had happened, what I've seen actually on reports, is that the scammers found a video on YouTube of the board meeting, and they were all joining actually online, and there was a recording of that meeting. And I'm guessing they just cloned their voice, took a screenshot of their face, and then used the speaking photo, the deepfake technique. One of you found it, actually. Yeah, well done. So looking toward the future, the AI world is in rapid expansion, and the quality of deepfake is continuously improving. So what I was showing is just what is available to all users today, to the masses. But for example, there's different things that are possible. There is AI phone agent that will call their victim for a specific purpose and will be able to report on the outcome of the discussion. And that's all automatic, right? It's even possible to plug a third-party APIs into it. For example, the AI agent can start the call, speak about the current weather, which is key in any discussion in the UK, and then try to trick their victim in disclosing sensitive information. OpenAI and Microsoft have also, in the last couple of weeks, released some very interesting projects that I would encourage you to Google after this presentation, where they can facilitate real-time communication with AI agents. So just to give you an idea, all the deepfakes created in this presentation took about 20 seconds to a few minutes to generate, depending on their complexity. They were not instant, and they could not be used for a live conversation. Well, this is now changing. GPT-4o released yesterday, which is a new update allowing real-time conversational speech. I would encourage you to Google it after this podcast as well, this webinar. But basically, they are allowing live conversation with the AI agent, and you can even feed it your video of the camera of your mobile phone, which is incredible. Microsoft has also released a project recently called Vaza1, which can create hyper-realistic talking faces with natural head movement and in real time. It's incredible. Again, a lot of issues that we've seen on the video today that I've demonstrated have been addressed on this new release. However, that project from Microsoft is not available for the public, it's just for the internal research. So just to conclude, at the present, creating deepfakes requires a delay while the synthetic media is generated. But with the new solutions, GPT-4o and Microsoft Phaser 1, generating deepfake videos in real time will very soon become a possibility. Therefore, what can we do to protect against deepfakes? Well, tech giants have begun to enact policies to protect the proliferation of deepfake content on their platform. So Meta has developed a tool that reverse engineers AI images to track their origin. Google has released a large data set of visual deepfake that can be used for benchmarking purposes. Microsoft has launched the Microsoft Video Authenticator, which provides a percentage of chance that a photo or video has been artificially manipulated. But while some technology is emerging to protect against deepfakes, the most important thing that you can do as a company is to raise end-user awareness. So in your security awareness training this year, I will encourage to familiarize your employees with deepfake, show videos like the one I demonstrated in this presentation, and explain what are the signs to spot the deepfakes. It's really important to empower your employees to challenge voice or video instructions to ensure that they are legitimate. So that could be as simple as having employees ask each other something that is only known by them, such as, I don't know, the last event they attended together, for example. Lastly, it's important to implement some safeguard to enforce multiple levels of approval for sensitive actions. For example, in the latest scam that we saw, if the clerk in Hong Kong had multiple levels of approvals required for transfer over $100,000, let's say, the scam would have been detected and prevented before the money went out. Okay, I hope you found this first part of the webinar helpful, and I will now turn it over to Rafe to speak about the counter-threat unit insights about how AI is facilitating new attacks. Over to you, Rafe.
Thank you, Ben. Hopefully my slides are showing for everyone. That was a fascinating presentation, some really great demos, and I think a real, really powerful sort of demonstration of the art of the possible here, particularly with commercially available tools, and as Ben said, with minutes or tens of minutes of effort to create the avatars and the deepfakes that you saw there. It's interesting looking at the comments, and thank you all for participating with the questions and the demos that Ben walked through. A number of people comment on sort of the choppiness of the video, and I think it's interesting that the increased level of remote working that we do these days kind of lends itself to these sort of scams working a bit better, because people forgive some of the choppiness, some of the digital artifacts, some of the compression artifacts that come when we're using these remote technologies, which kind of glosses over some of the shortcomings of the sort of videos and deepfakes at the moment, at least. So Ben walked you through one example, the Hong Kong example of a deepfake-enabled scam. One of the problems with understanding the use of deepfakes and generative AI technology in malicious cyber activity is that most of the time, when they're used in those sort of circumstances, people aren't primed to capture evidence or other artifacts. They're not really expecting it. They're not expecting a scam. And so it can be difficult, other than sort of witness testimony, to have the digital artifacts to demonstrate what's going on. But we're starting to see an increased level of information and data points surface. So I'm going to walk through some of the things that we're seeing and some of the scams that people need to be aware of. So in January 2024, the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre published a report on the near-term impact of AI on the cyber threat. This report provides a level-headed assessment of the impact of AI on the cyber threat landscape over the next 2 years. And while it focuses on the UK, the results can be broadly applied to other geographies where cyber attacks have traditionally been a problem. The report emphasizes the evolution and enhancement of existing tactics, techniques, and procedures, that emerging AI technologies provide a capability uplift in reconnaissance and social engineering, lower the barrier for novice cybercriminals, hackers for hire, and hacktivists to carry out more effective access and information gathering operations. And I think that generally aligns with what we're seeing at the moment and what we expect to see in the near future. However, they also note that the more sophisticated use of AI will initially be restricted to threat actors with access to quality training data, significant expertise in both AI and cyber, and resources, compute resources, data resources, that kind of thing. And this broadly implies state-sponsored actors in the short term. However, we can expect the experience and tooling to filter down and out into the wider cybercrime ecosystem over time, as we have seen with other areas such as 0 days originally fielded by APT or state-sponsored actors, or other advanced tools that later find their way into the hands of cybercriminals and hacktivists. It also perhaps suggests that state-sponsored actors may be tasked with collecting specialized or bulk data sets that can be used to train more advanced models with specific purposes and support more ambitious AI initiatives. So as we are all experiencing a shift and transformation in the IT space, so we are also seeing a digital transformation of cybercrime. CTU research supports the assessment that cybercriminals and scammers are exploring ways to use generative AI technology to improve the efficiency and scale of their operations. And while it's true that these technologies do also lower the barrier to entry for novice cybercriminals, it's important to understand that the barrier at the bar is already pretty low, and there is a wide range of malicious cyber services and tools available to purchase, rent, or download for free from underground forums and public sites. So there have been a number of reports and blogs about the use of generative AI and large language models to create malicious code. And while it is possible, what we're seeing is lacking certainly the current state of the art by quite a long way. It's one thing to be able to create a prompt to generate code, but it's quite something different to architect a cutting edge malicious tool or 0 day. There is no shortage of malware, no shortage of bulletproof hosting providers, DDoS services, crypto laundering services, etc. on the dark web and underground forums. Generally speaking, it's human labor that is the limiting factor in today's cybercrime economy. And unfortunately, this is also where generative AI can play a role in amplifying the current threat. We are seeing criminals experiment with generative AI to create more realistic phishing campaigns in multiple languages faster, create abusive deepfake images, audio and video for the purposes of harassment or political influence. Generative AI also makes it easier to manufacture disinformation operations and create the various facets of the operation that can bring it to life, including the text, imagery, and sock puppet social media accounts to amplify it. And lastly, fake social media personas are also easier to spin up with the help of generative AI, reducing the effort, for example, in creating a realistic career history for a persona or using industry-specific terminology. So Ben has talked about a number of different commercial voice cloning and deepfake technologies in this presentation. And we're also seeing interest in underground forums via various individuals for similar types of things. In this case, someone is recommending or highlighting an open source real-time voice cloning tool. Malign LLMs are another area of big interest in these underground forums. These are LLMs that have had the ethical safeguards removed and are made available usually for a fee to anyone who's interested in using them. Worm GPT is one such offering. As you can see, they offer fast response times to prompts, no limits on the length of the prompts, and in particular, they remove ethical safeguards, allowing prompts that might be rejected or trigger a warning in other commercial models. The providers of Worm GPT emphasize that they prioritize privacy and don't store user conversations, although they also talk about memorizing context from previous questions and saving conversations in web storage, but maybe those are additional optional features. However, it's also worth pointing out that previous claims by criminals and online criminal service providers about not maintaining logs have not always turned out to be true, and some of these, for whether it's for their own internal development purposes or other malicious purposes, perhaps blackmailing some of their customers, they have retained logs about users and user information. WormGPT is based on an older GPT-J model from 2021, and the rate of advancement in generative AI models makes the intervening 3 years a significant amount of time. However, many of the use cases for these LLMs, large language models, won't be needed to leverage the latest advanced capabilities, and instead most users will be developing content for social engineering like phishing templates or attempting to use it to learn about malicious topics, none of which really requires the latest capabilities, some of which Ben demonstrated. You can also see that underground actors are keeping up on the latest academic research. One of the more sophisticated uses of large language models is the application to in the academic research sphere is the development of systems that can automatically discover vulnerabilities, write exploit code. A recent study from the University of Illinois created a proof of concept framework that resulted in a GPT-4 model discovering and exploiting a number of known web app vulnerabilities. While these are the simpler end of the exploit development spectrum, it does demonstrate the potential. Vulnerability discovery and exploitation is an area that criminals will explore, but is much more likely to be a focus for state-sponsored actors looking to scale up their inventories of zero-day exploits. However, like most arms races, both the offensive and defensive sides will be able to leverage this technology. Code security solutions that can identify, verify, and suggest a patch for vulnerabilities in source code are on the horizon, and perhaps AI development assistants should also be able to work alongside developers and identify potential problems in near real time before they're even committed to source code repositories. So there's definitely pros and cons. One of the big areas we're seeing is the enhancing of phishing operations, both through evidence in underground forums and anecdotally from customers and other peers in the industry. There are reports of a larger volume of higher quality phishing emails being sent out to some sets of users and customers. Enhancing existing scams and attacks, particularly those focused on people, are one area where we see generative AI being used most. Underground forums have got individuals sharing examples of phishing templates like the one you see here, as well as other tutorials on how to misuse generative AI to boost existing social engineering scams. And I think that's interesting that the focus on the human is the sort of first area where we're seeing these models being applied. Although the fact that the large language models provide us such a giant leap forward in the natural language processing of computer systems, I guess naturally lends itself to that outcome. One of the existing scams that we've seen being bolstered by generative AI technology was the fake obituary scams. So in this case, we have obituary pirates, who are groups of scammers that essentially weaponize grief. They draw people in with obituaries that then direct them to security product subscriptions to generate revenue for the obituary pirates as part of affiliate schemes. Based on an increase in the volume of fake obituaries, should have chosen a word that's less hard to say, being posted and the speed at which they were produced, along with the fake information they contain, we concluded that threat actors had started to integrate generative AI into their operations. So they don't need to have factual information, they just need to mention recently deceased individuals in order to appear in Google search results. The quicker they can do this, the more likely they are to be at the top of the Google or other search engine results stack. And so by using these generative AI technologies, they can quickly create long fake obituaries, which get escalated in the search ranks and draw in people looking for information on those individuals. Another aspect we see, and we heard in the Hong Kong example, and now there's a few more sort of key examples that are emerging, is the boosted credibility of CEO fraud style attacks. So I talked about this at the Secureworks Threat Intelligence Summit last year, discussing a sophisticated CEO fraud scam involving an approach via WhatsApp, and then a handoff to a scammer impersonating a lawyer using traditional typo squatting and identity theft techniques. But now we see evidence emerging that scammers are working with generative AI technologies and incorporating them into their operations. So this was one that I don't think has made the public domain, but has leaked out and is believed to be a credible example at a large global technology firm. An employee in finance was targeted. They received a WhatsApp message from the CEO requesting help with a financial transaction, which tends to be how these things go. The CEO indicated that a law firm would set up a meeting, and a Zoom conference invite was then received. A deepfake video of the CEO was played during the video conference, explaining that an urgent payment was required and to work with this third party in order to make it happen. And the fake law firm sent details for the required payment of $2.9 million. In this case, the scam was not successful, and the deepfake essentially was detected after the fact because the individual involved felt that this was an unusual request and completely out of character with the CEO. The company then notified all their employees that this had happened and was very upfront about the nature of the attack, the fact that it had not succeeded because of some of the robust processes, but also some of the things to look out for if you receive this type of approach in the future. And in just this month, May 2024, head of a large advertising group has also come out to their company, their employees, and stated that they were also the target of a deepfake backed CEO fraud attack. Again, similar sort of model. The scammers created a WhatsApp account with the publicly available image of the CEO, used it to set up a Teams meeting that appeared to be with him and another senior executive. During the meeting, the scammers deployed a voice clone of the executive as well as YouTube footage of them. Again, kind of linking back to the scam Ben mentioned earlier. Scammers impersonated the CEO off camera using the meeting chat window and demanded that the targeted exec set up a new business in an attempt to solicit money and personal details. So CEO fraud is a big thing. It's a $50 billion plus industry in terms of money that has been lost over the past decade. And now we are seeing these generative AI technologies being incorporated into these style of attacks. How do you spot the signs? Often a CEO, CFO, or other senior executive will contact you via usually a messaging app or sometimes email. There'll be an unusual phone number, there'll be an unusual method of them contacting you. They will have some sort of urgent task that must be kept secret and confidential. It might be a merger, tax issue, accounting error, or other late payment. Either way, they'll often involve a third party of some kind who will then facilitate that fund transfer by perhaps providing the account the money has to be sent to or whatever it might be. Things to look out for, as Ben mentioned, the video with limited movement, unusual tone and intonation. But again, some of these things can be covered up or accounted for by just sort of remote access technologies and the remote technologies we're used to using. So stepping away from the criminal use of some of these technologies and looking more at some state-sponsored influence operations, how these being worked in. This is a recent example from the end of 2023. It was not intended to be a realistic impersonation of any individual, but it's just interesting how this played out. So essentially a fake hacktivist group linked to Iranian APT actors compromised an IPTV service and injected their own segment into their service. So this IPTV is quite popular in the UAE, where this incident occurred. And often you have sort of Western expats using IPTV to receive television from their home countries, in this case, perhaps the BBC or something that's not normally available in the UAE. I think what's interesting here is that this technology enables the creators of influence operations to tailor the message and the presentation of the message to the audience. So generally speaking, we're looking at English-speaking Western expats using IPTV. The appearance of the avatar chosen is likely intended to appeal to that audience, and the generative AI's technologies enable threat actors to easily match the talking head they're presenting to their audience. They don't have to get someone who will actually film the segment and voice over the specific video itself. So it's interesting how you can create these messages tailored towards specific audiences in these political influence type operations. And that leads us on to another incident that occurred in January this year. A political operative created a spoofed political message and distributed it via a robocall service. The individuals behind this action are believed to have used some of the same tools that Ben demoed today. Fortunately, the FCC has moved quickly and they've made AI-generated voices and robocalls illegal. But I think this highlights one of the challenges faced by lawmakers in terms of attempting to keep up with the pace of change in these technologies, attempting to prevent abuse while not creating barriers to legitimate use and innovation, which will be a difficult balance to achieve. And lastly, we've been talking a lot today about the deepfake technologies or the generative AI technologies themselves, but we also have to think about when we are incorporating these into our own applications and our own projects, our own products, that AI comes with its own attack surface. So we have a blog on the website that explores some of these aspects, looking at the AI infrastructure itself, the AI interface, the AI models, each of which come with their own nuances in terms of how they can be attacked. The AI infrastructure is a bit more like traditional web applications. You have web vulnerabilities, potential for supply chain attacks, account takeover, etc. When it comes to the interface, things like prompt injection or other sort of adversarial attacks specifically developed for these AI interfaces can be attempted. And lastly, attacks against the models themselves. So poisoning data sets, perhaps, in order to achieve a specific outcome or influence of a model, and a range of other things that are unique to AI. So as well as these technologies being used to attack and target individuals, we have to think about how we secure and protect them within our own product ecosystems. Okay, so lastly, what is Secureworks doing about this? So one of the big things is threat intelligence, understanding the threat, taking a level-headed, pragmatic approach to that threat and understanding what is really happening. And so certainly from a counter-threat unit perspective, we monitor the threat landscape for emerging threats on behalf of our customers, work that into countermeasures, work that into reporting to keep customers informed about what we're seeing. Adversary emulation, Ben's side of the house, a hugely important part of being able to explore the art of the possible, understand, and again, raise awareness of what is possible with these attacks. Also, it's important to understand that while these novel attacks are targeting the human, ultimately, we have 15 years of technical detections built into, say, the Tejas platform. And while the deepfake or the generative AI attack may get you in the front door, a lot of the same tactics and techniques then come into play when it comes into that network intrusion, using access that has been obtained, using a compromised account or whatever it might be, moving into a network, conducting lateral movement, obtaining sensitive data, deploying ransomware, whatever it might be. So a lot of the network intrusion attack kill chain becomes the same after that point, even if the initial compromise is achieved through novel or AI means. And lastly, raising awareness and evolving detections as we see new things emerging. So I think we may be at the end of time in terms of this webinar. But if you have any questions, please do fire them into the Q&A feature, and we'll be able to reach out to you afterwards to follow up. There's also a chat bot on the Secureworks website, secureworks.com. You can submit questions there or anything you'd like to talk to us about, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for your participation. It's been really great having you at this webinar, and hopefully you'll join us again soon.